Welcome to the Girl Sis Man podcast.
For the girls we were,
for the sisters we became,
and the women we're becoming.
Welcome, girl.
It is our first episode
ever
of our podcast.
I'm so excited.
People have been asking. We both have our separate YouTube channels, our own podcasts. And whenever we've collaborated, people were like, can we make this a permanent thing?
And I understand why. I mean, have you seen Lola?
Have you seen Esther?
It just made sense.
And then we just put it all together to bring it to you in 2020 for the big sisters you never asked for.
Facts.
But we are here for you.
It was you know what? I'm going to say it was a year of growth, right? And we needed to grow to get here. So we got to be thankful that we made it through and that we are just here to bring to you the content you never knew you needed. Really, what we're trying to do with this podcast is create a safe space, a laughable space where you're able to grow within yourself, share your personal goals, we'll share our hilarious stories, our failures, our ups and our downs, our turnarounds, and hopefully that'll help you do better than we've done in a lot of areas.
Please, I would hope so. I mean, like we said, one of the big sisters that you don't have or the big sisters you didn't ask for, because there's just lots of things where it's like hindsight with us, where it's like, oh, I could have done this and avoided all this trouble. Interesting. Why wasn't there a podcast for me? Now there is a podcast for you.
So, for those of you who are new to our channels, our podcasts, whatever it is, this is Lola.
And this is Esther.
So, I'm going to give a quick bio about Lola.
Oh, okay. Sure thing. Go ahead. Can I trust you?
Of course.
Okay.
It's a safe place.
Okay, it is. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, Lola is hysterical.
Okay.
All right. Is she a Sagittarius?
No, I'm a Capricorn.
A Capricorn. I don't know the signs, you guys. So she's a Capricorn. I don't know what that means, but she takes a lot of pride in it. She's very organized. She's super cute, super sassy, super single for my fellows out there. And she is just a pleasure to work with. Super honest. That's a great thing in a friend. And she's just soft and fluffy.
Oh, thank you. I love that description. I'm going to put that on my Tinder bio. Soft and fluffy.
Girl, you're going to be attracting all the kinds of crowds you didn't want.
Esther is a Libra.
I am.
And that means you're a balanced person. And I definitely see that in you. Like, you could be funny and goofy and carefree, and then you're like, nah. Playtime is over. We're not playing this game. I'm focused on my career. I'm focused on all the things that I want to do, all my endeavors. She's just a wonderful soul. She's hysterical. We've been friends in my mind since high school.
And in my mind, we've been friends
for like 2 years.
No! Like, we've been friends since at least the end of college.
Okay. Which was 3 years ago, so I'll take for 3 years.
Rounded, you know?
Yeah, but like literally for a real long time, she was my friend. And you know why? Because I gravitated to you because you have like this beautiful spirit. So I'm super happy we're here. I'm super happy I'm your friend. I'm super happy I got claimed. And I'm super happy to be here with you for these people.
Okay, so let's get to it. So today is January 5th, which means yesterday was the premiere of The Bachelor. So I usually, let me start off by saying this, okay? Before Lola dragged me into her, I want to say her addiction.
Yes, it's a problem.
I believe that The Bachelor stood for everything a woman should not watch. I was like, you are losing your sense of self. You are losing your morality, your purity. I was like, what kind of a man kisses 25 women and then places those same lips upon you? The same lips you pray to God with. My goodness.
You know how I could counsel that with my mind? I was watching Flavor Flav at 10 years old, okay?
Oh my God.
And like, let's just be honest, The Bachelor is just like a tamed down version of all the nonsense that I watch, because like, I'm a reality TV junkie. This is just...
I am not.
This is light baby stuff. So
I cannot do the reality TV shows, but now I'm hooked onto The Bachelor. And we have Matt James, who was our Bachelor this year.
He's fine as hell.
Is he?
Esther, you need to check your eyesight.
Okay. First of all, I do need to check my eyesight. I don't have my glasses.
Objectively speaking.
I think that he's not my type, but he's very handsome. He's very good looking. I especially like the shoulders down part. That
You don't like his face?
I'm not saying I don't like his face. I just said that it does nothing for me.
I like his face. I like the body.
The legs are a little thin for me. I'm a big girl. And I want to know if I'm running. Like, you know how they always run and then they're like, they jump to you. I'm like, you couldn't do that with Esther. He would buckle.
No, he's a former football player.
And?
Do you know those men are out here tackling 250-pound
Listen, do you know how many brothers have come up to me like, I bench 250 and I don't weigh nothing near 200? Mm-hmm. And then when I be like, let me jump on you, everybody want to have bad knees all of a sudden.
Okay. But either way.
It's the momentum. It's the gravity, I think.
It is. And also you just gotta like prepare yourself. Be like light as a feather, then you turn light as a feather too.
Is that the mentality when you're running on people like, light as a feather? And I hear is, do light as a feather. Light as a feather.
But that's pretty much it. But I think he's a good looking man physically. This first episode, I feel like we were spoiled with Tayshia because we were watching Tayshia.
Oh my God, that season,
loved
it blessed my heart.
I wanted to marry every single one of those men. I was like,
Don't get me started on
Ben. Oh, Ben. So I was like on this high. I'm like, these men are so vulnerable. They're so mature.
They were ready for this.
They were ready for this. And then last night, I saw a bunch of like 20-something. There's nothing wrong with 20-something.
We're 20-somethings.
But like, why are you 21 trying to find a husband on national television? It makes no sense unless...
It's for clout.
It's for clout. And it's just, this is my third Bachelor and my second Bachelorette.
Got it.
Colton's season was like that. It was like a whole bunch of Instagram models. Peter's season was like that. And I'm 100% sure Matt's season will be a bunch of Instagram models. Telling other Instagram models they're not there for the right reasons. And they get to 1 million followers on Instagram.
Okay, fair analysis. Here's my thing. I don't want to jump to conclusions. I am the first person, by the by, to jump to conclusions.
I'm jumping to them.
I'm trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I want to believe that everyone is there for a good reason. But the fact of the matter is, like, there are women in life who are 20 who are like, I want a husband now. And I'm like, but girl, don't you want a credit card first? Like,
not co-signed by your dad?
You know what I'm saying? Don't you want a lease you can sign by yourself? But like, I mean, people just live different like realities. However, I'm like, okay, I probably would have been looking for it at 21. If I'm being honest, at 25, I'm still hitting here like, marriage? I like want it, but I'm not running towards it. Whereas these women are like, let me just come out with my lingerie, which by the by, listen sis, I'm not saying I would have done it.
I would have never.
I would never.
I couldn't.
And
I won't.
No, I would not either. I would not. First of all, my parents are watching. I applaud these women for coming out because the bravery and the guts that it takes. Like, I am Haitian. My parents, all you would hear, like, I would come out in lingerie and the world would start trembling. Like, the rage from my Haitian household would shake the earth. Like, you don't understand. The disappointment.
I could just hear my mom's, like, all the adjectives she would have described me. Sinvergüenza, sucia, putica. Like, I could just hear all the adjectives.
Like, these people, these immigrants are unafraid to tell me what's up, let alone if I was out of shape, which I am.
Oh, they'll be the first one to tell
Mama would be like, you dare? In front of all those size 2? Your size 48 would dare? No, in all honesty, I could not work up the nerve to pull that kind of an entrance, but I applaud you for that boldness. I
don't applaud you.
I mean, just keep it all the way funky. I applaud you for the boldness. Cause she knew she had it going on. That's a bad bitch. Come on.
She has a great body, but that's what I'm talking about. None of these women, I was like, are you sure? Like, I know for a fact I wouldn't want to roll up on my possible future husband with a vibrator. Like, I don't see how you gonna pivot this. How are you gonna pivot? Oh, I was, almost butt naked nasty out in public. How are you gonna pivot that? Now, if it was just the two of you and there wasn't a bunch of television crew, hanging about, maybe you figure out how to finesse it. But I was just like, how is this about marriage? And that's what I'm talking about. None of the men on Tayshia's season did that. I mean, Ben got butt naked nasty.
Oh my God, but he touched my heart with his nakedness. He was transparent in that moment.
I was like, okay,
the
sir.
double standard. Do y'all see it?
The double standard. I was just like, Ben, we know you got washboard abs. Let's not pretend you're not out here showboating.
I wish he hadn't been cupping himself. I was like, I'll take a tall drink of water, baby. I was like, reveal it all if you're gonna do it.
But if you think about it, none of the men act that way, and I feel like it helps you get to know their personality. And I feel like the women, they come out with these gimmicks, and it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me, and it's not
it's pick-me's.
It's pick me, not like, hey, let's get to know each other. And, like, if you think about it, none of the men cry the first episode when they get let go. The women tear up. And I'm like, girl, you knew him for 2 hours.
Yeah, sis who went home last night was like, and he'll never know the love I was capable of giving him. And I was like, did you say hello? I was like, did you walk up to that young man and make an impression?
Here's the thing. If one girl rolled up on me, I will say this, but I'd be like, hey, can I steal him for a moment? No.
I'd be like, no. I don't get that. Like, there was one girl who was talking about the earthquakes in, like, you know, Puerto Rico. And she was like, tap her with a dildo. And can I be sincere with you?
I would
violence. I would have slapped the color right off your face. You would have tasted your teeth that day. Like, the gall.
The nerve. I was just like, not on my... Like, why just not take your
And
fingers?
then she goes, like, later on in the episode, I don't know if she was trying to be funny, she goes, it's been cleaned. I was like, for your sake, sweetheart, it better not have been used. I was like,
it must have been straight out the box.
It better have been.
I can't picture... This was something production gave her on the way.
Sure,
it had
for
to.
sure.
If it was literally her sexual tool, I would like, what is wrong with you? What is actually wrong with you?
I would actually snap. Lola would go from fuzzy and fluffy to straight up fierce. Like, it would the
be a
Spanish would come out and be like, so sad.
I would just shake my head just like, sin vergüenza.
So, but like, when she interrupted that conversation, I would have been like, no, sweetheart, I'm not done. I'll find you when I'm done.
Actually, Matt will let you know when he's ready to talk to you.
You know what I'm saying? No, what was really disrespectful was, excuse me, princess. Ooh, I would have caught her by the ankle and sent her down the hill. I was just like, I would have had to look around like, who she's talking about? So I know she's not talking to me. I was like, not where I'm from.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, the women versus the men of the Bachelorette. Like, off the bat, you had a couple people who rub you the wrong way, but that's never the case with the men where it's like a bunch of them where you're like, y'all are annoying. I've always gotten, y'all are annoying when it comes to the Bachelors women. I don't know what it is. Very few of them come out where I like them. I like the girl who I think she got the
impression was the deaf girl.
Yes, Abigail.
See, she to me was like genuine. She was like, I do want to get to know you. Like, there's some things about myself. I love that.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, I feel when I watch The Bachelorette, I get a group of men that I'm like, I don't know who I want to win. I want you all to win. When it comes to The Bachelor, it's very few in between that I like, and I'm like, I want her to win. It's always like one, I'm rooting for one, because in like in the sea of like Instagram models and like catty bitches, you deserve love. But I already know I just feel it in my soul, like I'm just not gonna care too much. I think Matt is good looking, but I don't see there's any like pizzazz. We haven't gotten to see his personality yet.
But I will say though, I am excited because I do think that there are more people of color. Like, there's a little more diversity. I'm not gonna say it's like a whole bunch, but there's like an extra black girl, an extra Spanish girl this season. And I like that only because I feel like there just needs to be more diversity and representation in these shows. Not that I am encouraging anyone to go. I'm like, I'd rather us be in the dark.
I always feel bad when I see black women or women of color on The Bachelorette, especially like Asian women, and I'm like, you're not gonna...
I love Asian women.
But they're not... I just, like, in the back of my mind, like, you're not gonna get very far. And, like, it might be different with Matt. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's gonna pick a white woman. And other people are like, well, why can't he pick one if Rachel Lindsay picked a white man? And I feel like they have to have, like, an actual real conversation with themselves and understand that dark-skinned black women are viewed... Attractiveness in dark-skinned women is viewed differently than it is for dark-skinned black men. There is like a fetish, there's a fetish for black men, right? You got the Mandingo effect. You have like, oh my God, he's so, big, strong, and he's like so manly. Those are the same adjectives they tend to use to describe black women, specifically dark-skinned black women. So it's not the same playing field. So it is a little bit different when it's like a black man picking a white woman, because for a really long time, femininity and beauty has been based in being white and being a white woman. There is a market for dark-skinned black men, and obviously everyone has a different experience. But like, ever go on under Michael B. Jordan's Instagram?
You don't find me.
It is not the same under Lupita's. It is not the same. Nobody, and she's a beautiful woman.
She is. But if I swung that way, I'd be there too. By the by, like
I think she's so delicate and like so dainty.
She embodies all those things. To me, she is grace. But then, like, when you see her acting, it's like the word fierce was not invented until she got on screen. Oh. Like, I am like that woman. My God, like, he broke the mold after her. He was like, ah! There could never be another. I do have to say, there are some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women of color. There are just beautiful women up there. Like
I love Kayla. Kayla from North Carolina. So it's Abigail, Kayla. I forget who else I'm rooting for.
There's a girl from Ethiopia. I've forgotten her name.
Yes.
And I was like, sweetheart, I don't believe for a minute, I don't believe for a Mississippi minute that you are here. I said a Mississippi minute. It's a New York minute that you came all the way from Ethiopia for Matt James. But
thank you for being here.
Thank you for gracing my screen. I needed to see that.
We appreciate you.
We did. Fair. But I think that we have to say that the Bachelor franchise is giving this whole diversity thing a try, and we can appreciate the new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Title of this episode is New Year, New We, right? So we're talking about New Year's resolutions, whether or not they're really healthy for you, who are they actually for, and which ones are being criticized. So I think that the most common New Year's resolution is the whole weight loss thing. Everyone wants to get healthier, which is a phenomenal thing. I think that we should all expect it, no offense. I mean, you went to the gym yesterday.
It was packed.
In the middle of a pandemic, for the love of God.
And everybody was wearing a mask. I saw a couple people with the nose uncovered, but I'm gonna give them a pass because when you on the treadmill, you huffing and
puffing. Or the Stairmaster, listen.
The breath control, it ain't the same. But I was like, I see you, man, on elliptical for number 4. Cover the nostrils. Cover the nostrils.
I'm like, a little bit. Just give me a little. The common resolution, right? So recently, I know that you've heard about this, Lizzo had talked about doing a detox, and the backlash was incredible. Like, I think that Lizzo has such a body positive audience. They're just like, we love you for who you are, F your beauty standards, all of these things. And then she goes, I'm doing this for my health, and everyone's like, fuck you. And it caught me off guard.
Some girl I was looking on Twitter was like, I was gonna get a Lizzo tattoo, but I saw this and now I'm not gonna do it. And I'm like, first of all, you were gonna get a Lizzo tattoo?
For what?
Like, okay. But I was not surprised because I've seen this happen before. I feel like it's in periods of time, you have to understand the pendulum swings one way or another, right? Early 2010s, think before that, there was like the Jenny Craigs, the Weight Watchers. It's very diet culture. And then you get to the point where it's like body positivity and we're trying to get away from diet culture. And when you see someone trying to do something what you think is similar to what you were doing before and it's very triggering, you're like, fuck you. And it's just like, nah, chill out. Also, stop trying to make people your idol. I understand that you find confidence and you use
or you feel empowered
when you see people who look like you, and that's great, but you cannot base it solely on what this person does with their body, because you will never be happy. So my thing is, personally, I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. I saw like a mile away. I said, girl, you take the green juice and you do it publicly, they are going to. First of all, if Lizzo breathes, people have a problem.
Seriously, even when she wasn't trying or wasn't publicly trying to lose weight, people were like, how dare you propagandize fatness, overweightness?
Exactly.
And I was like, is that what she's doing? Or is she just singing and she so happens to be a big woman? Like, but then also, too, she's like, I'm not saying that, F your health standards. I'm just saying I'm doing what I do and people like what I do, whether or not my size is 0 or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But then also, too, to see the backlash from her very own fans who were like, body positivity. I'm like, was it body positivity or was it self-reinforcement about something that you are still insecure about, right? And it leads me to ask, well, who are these resolutions for? Who are these big grandiose statements for when we make them? Because I remember being in college when Lizzo was all the rage. And people were like, you know what, literally F your beauty standards. Like, I'm going to be big and all these things. And I remember having a conversation with one of my friends. It did not go well. I'm a very transparent person. I try not to be so rude about it, but I'm pretty blunt.
Okay.
But, so she was like, F your beauty standards. And I was like, well, also health. I was like, I'm not necessarily saying that health problems and weight go hand in hand. But I'm like, but a lot of the times they can. And so I was like, I don't necessarily think it's a problem if you're a big, woman. I consider myself a bigger woman. I'm not going to throw myself and say I'm plus size. God forbid. People in the comments would rage. But I'm saying, let's not just say, F your beauty standards and throw back a 12-pack of tacos from Taco Bell and say that that's also a great thing. Like, there are later consequences for what we put into our bodies. I would know this, believe me.
I agree, but here's the thing, right? Is that there's lots of skinny people who are just living off of hot Cheetos and Mountain Dew.
This is true.
And nobody says anything to them, right? And so when it comes to body positivity, there's always going to be the opposite, right? So there's always going to be, oh, you eat too much. And then for skinny people, it's like, oh, you need to eat more, right? They like to tell women, a man wants a little meat on your bones, but then you get meat on your bones, it's like, that's too much. I don't think... So people who body shamed Lizzo before, because that's what it is, body shaming, aren't people who, when they see people sneezing, are like, hey, do you have a fever? Let's go to the doctor. You don't care any other realm of that person's health until you're like, that person's fat and they're unhealthy. Okay, what do you want them to do in that moment? They can't lose the 50 pounds because you just told them that they're fat.
True.
Also, are they not supposed to go to work? Are they not supposed to live life? Are they supposed to just live in a corner with their back to the world until they lose the weight? Because then what kind of life is that to leave? Also, I believe fat shaming works, but people need to understand the ramification. The same way I feel like beating your kids works. You will get your kid to behave, but you're also going to traumatize the shit out your kid sometimes.
True.
So like
which
for
might
me,
lead them down a worse path than they were going.
Exactly. So like there are lots of people who got fat shamed as a kid, and then later on they develop an eating disorder, but they lost the weight. So people are like, oh my god, it's so great that you lost the weight. You look so beautiful, but they're binging and throwing up every 2 hours when they're eating, or they have body dysmorphia. So it's like, people need to understand the weight of their words and also stop living your life based on other people.
But that's what I'm saying, and particularly in regard to these resolutions, because as we were coming upon the new year, I was like, well, what are my new resolutions going to be? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, why don't I just have regular standards that I want to live my life by? Like, why do I feel like I need to go and list them and publicly announce? Yeah. So my resolution for the year includes becoming wealthier, cursing less, losing weight. Like, I just wanted to point that out just because I feel like a lot of the times, like, why do we have to wait for the first of the new year? Why can't we just wake up one day and say, you know what, I want to be for the better. I want my health to be better. I want to be better or more confident in myself. I want to be more confident in my finances or in my knowledge or in a particular area, whatever and what have you. So why not have that conversation previously? Why must we wait for this New Year's resolution thing? And so it got me wondering, are we doing it for ourselves or are we doing it for clout or for moments? So I feel like I'm wondering if it's healthy, only because A, when we wait until the new year, we're either stalling ourselves from actually beginning what we can do today and not tomorrow. B, we're making other people accountable for our goals, which is, it's a good thing, but sometimes it backlashes, right? Because you don't do it, people remind you about it. You're like, I don't know about you, but I would be like, you know what? I'm about to lose 5 pounds a month. And then someone random on Instagram would be like, did you do it yet? And I'd be like, how dare you? Mind your motherfucking business. How dare you step into something that is so personal?
Do you not have bills that are unpaid? Worry about them.
But like, there's that. But then there's also just the fact that when we do it, we like think that in this new year, we're now infallible. And sometimes we forget to give ourselves the grace that we deserve. Mm-hmm. So yes, we're going to fall. Yes, there will be days that are harder than others. But if we're going to make sustainable, realistic goals, those are things that we can do anytime in the year. For sure. That we can implement whenever, that we can lax whenever, when that's appropriate for us. And we can, restart anew. Like, it's just grace. It's humanity. I think that if anything, 2021 is just an opportunity to give ourselves the grace we so desperately needed in 2020.
Also, you can find those new beginnings. I love that the year is divided in quarters. So once you start in April, that's a new quarter. There's seasons. If your birthday, like, I feel like that's even great. There's always going to be something to look forward to. So if you, like you said, the first month or two, you're doing great and you fall off March, it's okay. April's right around the corner.
You got
it. 4th of July, there's always going to be something to incentivize you. So don't feel like, oh, if I don't get it by this date, then it's over.
So this segment of the GSM podcast is called Ask Girl, Sis, or Ma'am. So you're probably wondering why it's entitled Girl, Sis, Ma'am, right? To put it more eloquently, I think that we are still girls, right? We were born girls and we still fawn for the things at heart or in life, like the simple pleasures, love, beauty. We're cis because as time has evolved, particularly in this community of women, we become each other's keepers, right? We like our safe places. And man, because we are adults doing the damn thing, women blazing trails always.
Yes, ma'am.
So in this segment of Ask Girl, Sis, or Ma'am, you get to ask us a question as a girlfriend, as a sister, and as a woman-to-woman thing. Let's just keep it all the way funky.
Speaking about money, one of our questions is how to pay off my student loans and issues with student loans. Okay, I have not paid them off. I am working on that, but I will use a little bit of financial gifts and tools that I've learned from Dave Ramsey. I am on a financial restoration of my life. I have a lot of credit card debt, or I did, thankfully. I was in a pinch where I realized how much I owed on credit card debts, plus what I owed on my student loans, plus my car, and I was like, I'm gonna be destitute. I'm gonna be on the streets. I think understanding the anxiety of seeing that total number, it's hard. It's a pill to swallow, but just know you got yourself in this mess and you can get yourself out of this mess. My goal is, or my plan is, pay off all my credit card debt, make sure I don't owe any more on my car, so that one day, hopefully around 28, 29, I'm really going to tackle this student loan. Total after my master's, I'll be $60K in the hole.
So I've paid off my master's debt entirely.
Okay.
And again, that's because I went abroad and it was just so much cheaper to do there. And I encourage y'all to look into that. That's a really awesome experience. And additionally, a lot of the degrees transfer here, you have to just really look for certifications at certain universities. So in order to do that, the minute I started getting paid, I was like, how much do I need total for my bills every single month? How much do I spend for leisure and how much can I save? And so I split my bank accounts 3 different ways. One was a leisure account, one was a savings account, one was a bill account. And then when I amassed the total for my grad, I took it all out of my savings and paid it all off at once.
Oh, wow.
Which took a lot of discipline. I'm trying to do the same for undergrad, but
You'll get there when you get there.
Exactly. There's been a spending spirit on me lately.
But that's the key point. You will get there when you get there.
Yeah, and just do a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be like when I was saving money away, squirreling it away. It wasn't like grandiose payments of like $500 a month. God knows I couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. It was more like, okay, I'm taking 70 from this paycheck. I'm taking 100 from this paycheck. Like you just have to realize that it's a priority for you and start putting it away. And like Lola said, get in touch with your debtors or your creditors and be like, hey man, like what can we do? Like how much can I pay? What's the bare minimum? Like what's making a dent in it? And some of them will be really, really honest with you and really have that conversation with you. If you get a shabby person, you know what? Call the next day and hope that you get a better person. Call until you get someone who will really help you resolve your issue.
I think also what I've done is, like I mentioned, Dave Ramsey is learning different ways to pay off your debt, right?
Yeah.
So Dave Ramsey and a lot of people talk about 2 methods, which is the avalanche method and then the snowball method. The avalanche method is getting rid of your biggest debt first, so you pay less in interest, right?
Absolutely.
So if you owe $3,000 on a credit card and it has like a 20% interest rate, that is the one you're tackling, right? That one you're paying as much as you possibly can, and then you just avalanche down. I'm doing the snowball method. That means I probably will pay more over time, but I will feel like I'm getting out of debt quicker. It gives me the motivation, right? So you start off with the smallest, and once that's done, you're like, let me get to the next step. So you have to find out which one's better for you and your financial situation. For me, was snowball because as I get little and little, what I did was this credit card gets paid off, and I was paying $100 on that one. I take that $100 and I put it to the next one plus whatever I was paying. And then I felt like I was doing it. And honestly, I paid off 3 credit cards this past year. Alrighty. Ooh, this is a good one. What would you advise women in setting boundaries, or how to set boundaries? And that's from Miss Sabrina. Thank you so much. And Sabrina is actually starting her own blog.
So please definitely go check that out and follow. She's absolutely incredible. I've known her the majority of my life. The girl is hysterical, very honest, very transparent. And I think that that's just the kind of blogger you want to be following. So how do you come to setting boundaries? Honestly, I mean, maybe advice would come from you because Sabrina has heard from me her whole life.
I think for me, one thing that I had to learn is how do you process feelings and what you are to people. So like, I know I'm a people pleaser. So you have to set up boundaries with yourself. Like you said, So if I know I'm a people pleaser and I want to make you happy, and making you happy means I'm going to overexert myself, I have to have conversations with myself. You want to because you want to make them feel good, but do you actually want to do these things?
Will it make you feel
Will
good?
it make me feel good, or will it make me feel burnt out or stressed out?
Or used.
Also, you have to like learn, like, I'm with somebody, you can make me feel guilty really easy. And I, like, you literally can make me feel bad. I'm like, oh, I'm the bad guy. You have to have conversations with yourself and say, you know what? Sometimes people are manipulative. Sometimes people are going to you're going to have a boundary and they're going to step it. You have to set up boundaries with yourself of saying, I'm not going to
fall.
I'm not going to fall and I'm not going to allow it. And just learn how to keep people at a distance. Because the truth is, you could tell someone, I don't want you to do this, and this is how you're going to treat me. And they'll be like, okay, cool. And then the next week do the same thing. You have to set the boundary with yourself of like, I set this boundary, so even if they don't want to follow it, I'm going to keep going on. And it's harder than it sounds.
And I think that particularly as you grow older, particularly in your 20-somethings going into further into adulthood, I think that it's very important that you surround yourself with people that respect your boundaries. Because I'm not calling you a friend if I tell you like, hey man, I'm trying to lose weight. And you're always like, Carvel on me? And in the moment I'm like, yes! And then I get on the scale and I'm like, he's no friend of mine. Like, that's obviously an exaggeration, but just in real life, surround yourself with people who respect you and your boundaries. And know that when you do have a friend, if someone is near and dear to you and they're not respecting your boundaries, be able to pull yourself away from that person. If they need an explanation as to why you're pulling away, then you'll be like, hey man, whenever I'm with you, you know, unfortunately, I lack the self-control or the discipline to stick to my boundaries. And I just don't want that to be a reoccurring theme with us moving forward. So you know what, when I get to a better place, when I'm stronger about it, when I feel better about it, we'll reconnect or what have you. But for right now, I'm going to keep my distance.
Yeah, I don't know if that's realistic though, because like
I'm good with it. You know, I'm good with the cutoff.
But that's the thing. You're good at setting up boundaries. Like, so it's easier said than done for others, because you think I might be like Sabrina, where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna tell them and I'm gonna set it up, and then I get there, I'm like, yeah, you're right, I'm so sorry, all this other stuff. I think another thing you have to point out is like, when are you stepping on other people's boundaries? Absolutely. Because you become enmeshed, and that's the reason why boundaries get crossed, because you have your boundaries and this person should have boundaries, and maybe you guys are way too enmeshed where it's like, okay, what do I do to make sure that this boundary stays? Are you somebody who like needs your you time, but when you're with that person, they just want to spend the whole entire day? You'd be like, you know what, I have to go take a nap.
I'd be like, I'm gonna go enjoy me time now. It's very important to me that I do that. Like,
but that's way too direct for her right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could be like, I need to leave. Like, I'm gonna be like, I gotta go to a doctor's appointment. I'm not saying go out there and lie, but you gotta set things up so that you're like, okay, how do I walk away not feeling guilty, but also keep my boundaries? Because if she tells them, I want some me time, she's gonna make the person feel bad. She's gonna feel guilty about it, and then she's gonna back out of it.
You don't necessarily have to say I want me time, but you can definitely say, you know what, I actually don't have. I only had a specific amount of time to hang out with you today or to do whatever today. I do have other obligations that you don't need to elaborate on, but they're obligations to self. And be like, and I've got to go and respect those other obligations.
You know what I've also done? I just like, I have to go. Sometimes I don't even give an explanation.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need to. You're a grown woman. You don't need permission from anyone to do anything. So just be like, you know what, sweetheart, this has been great. I know it's been 20 minutes, but I actually have to go.
I gotta go. How do you feel about manifestation, the trend that's going on right now?
So I don't necessarily, like, I saw that picking up in 2020.
Yes, I manifested my boyfriend. I was like, okay.
And I get it. I think that manifestation to a point is very legit. But it comes with the physical work, right? Because I see a lot of people who talk manifestation, who will talk over their lives, but will have no action to back that talk. Like, you're not walking the walk, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if you're like, I'm going to go out there and start a business and, you know, start my own Fortune 500. Are you sitting on your couch still? Like, what moves are you putting into play? What actions are you taking to make that realistic, to make that, you know, to bring it into fruition? That's more so my question. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of, which really annoys me, and y'all could come at me if you want, I could stand on this hill alone, Facebook prayers when people will be like, I see God, he's gonna drop 3 blessings in your, whatever in this next month. And I'm like, y'all will do everything but pray. Like, I'm like, don't share this Facebook prayer, nigga, pray. Like, damn.
I feel like for me, manifestation is prayer, like you were mentioning, because it says, you could speak things into existence.
Power of the tongue.
The power of the tongue. That's where life and death hang on the power of the tongue. So I do think it works. I'd like Esther was saying, if you don't do the work, I feel like you can be like, I want a boyfriend. But if you didn't say, I want someone who's respectful and kind and who's going to treat me well and that I'm going to treat them well, you can speak things to existence and not...
Girl, you could curse yourself.
Exactly.
You have to know my goodness.
You really don't know what you're manifesting. And I feel like also if you're just going to manifest, I like to think about I'm praying to God. Don't just ask for things to come into your life. Ask for you to give things to life. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to God all the time. I'm like, God, these are things that I don't like about myself, right? I can be passive aggressive. Like, I don't like confrontations. How can I ask for a good God-fearing man who's going to respect me if I have all these qualities that might lead someone to disrespect me? So I'm not just simply asking for this, or I'm not just manifesting for this to come up to my life. I'm asking, like, if this comes into my life,
I want to be prepared for it.
I want to be prepared for it. Teach me the ways. And like Esther was saying,
I love that.
Just do the work. What did you learn in 2020?
Oh my God. Wow. I personally, and I think that people who know me will think that this is ironic. I learned to let the silence fill the space. I think that a lot of the times, particularly in 2020, there was just so much going on. There was a lot of overwhelming information, a lot of overwhelming visuals, a lot of noise, background noise, like mental noise coming from me, like particularly as a person of color. A lot of things were happening last year. And I don't think that for a long period of time, I even felt anything profoundly because I was so caught up in making a noise when I was upset, when I was hearing other noises and allowing that to overwhelm me and fill me. And finally one day, like I knew I had reached like a precipice. Like I knew I was at like a fork in the road, and so I wanted to walk. Like I was like on my lunch break, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually gonna take the rest of the day off, and I went for a walk. It was a super long ass walk. And it was just silent. Like I didn't have my headphones in, and I just let it be. And all of a sudden, like just the weight, it felt like, of the world just fell on me, and I just let it be. Like I let the emotions wash over me, and I just let the silence, like let it just fill the space and let me feel what I needed to feel, and just allow me to think without bias, without, influence for the first time, what felt like so long in that year. And then I just started making, just, I guess not manifestations, but I just started making just rules and provisions of self-care for myself that I've started to really adhere to and take seriously. Because I was like, I hadn't even realized in all the noise how unwell I was mentally and emotionally and just even spiritually. And I really had to just reconnect and be like, yo, in this silence, I'm going to sew myself back together. And that's what I learned in 2020, was to just let the silence bring me into a new era of faith, of growth, of love, of understanding.
So for me, what did I learn in 2020? That I have a lot to work on. I walked away and, I feel like I'm somebody, like many people, who let achievements represent who I am as a person. Like, oh, I graduated college. I have this car. I have a full-time job. I'm hitting these milestones, and I was allowing that to be the rubric of what I was grading myself on. So I learned that I have lots of things that I need to work on. Like I mentioned, I get passive aggressive. I'm somebody who has to learn to deal with confrontation. I can be mean in my head, and I don't like that I can be mean in my head, but I won't say it to your face. Like if you piss me off, instead of saying, hey, that hurt my feelings, I'll be like, okay, it's cool, and I'll go to bed and be like, so Esther want to say that to me, huh? I'm her friend and she said that to me, and then I'll let it go and never move there. So I realized there's a lot of things I have to work on. I realized I have to be a better team player. I always thought I was good working with people. I work well, but I could be better. When it comes to teamwork, and that's why something I'm going to work on between us with this podcast, I am somebody who anybody can know, like, when I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off, I'm off.
Yeah.
And if you try to rush me, I'm gonna be like, I'm shutting this down. But I have to learn that people don't operate the way that I operate. And if you're working in a team, if I don't move, this person doesn't move. This person can't walk ahead of me, can't walk behind me, has to walk beside me. So I have to learn to be a better team player. So I've just learned I gotta do a lot of things. I gotta get into therapy. That's what I learned. I need to get into therapy.
Absolutely.
I want a therapist in 2021.
I do.
Yes,
when I can afford it. I do.
We'll figure it out. You guys know anybody who does kind of like low income or based on income
therapy?
That'd be great.
Just throw it down in the comments.
Alrighty. Well, I think that was the last question.
Yep, and that wraps up our first ever episode of the Girls Says Man podcast.
Lo hicimos.
We did it.
We did it.
Oh yeah.
We climbed over the mountain and set up the tripod.
We're not going to go into the whole song. But thank y'all so much for joining us, for being a part of this, for following already. Y'all are so incredible. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube.
Don't feel free. Please do it. Let's just be honest. We are trying to make this a big thing, and we're going to talk and manifest and pray this into success.
Hey now.
Please subscribe. It is free for you to do so. It helps us. Please share the link to other people.
Leave your comments, negative or positive. We are trying to learn your face. You just do not have the poker face. But we want to grow in this. We want to communicate with
Constructive criticism is accepted. If you have some negative Nancy comments, well,
if you talk about my fupa, we finna have problems.
Leave my fupa alone. It's nothing to you.
But in all serious, guys, please just continue to be here and support us, and we will do the same for y'all. With that, have a great evening, and thanks for tuning in for the first episode of the Girls Says Man podcast. I am Esther.
I'm Lola.
And we are out.